welcome to Made to Last, conversations about marriage and family, parenting. My name is Brian, it's my wife Stephanie. Today, we're talking about money, right? Like couples and money. How do you find? So I'll start. So let's just, I think there are several keys to really, money, first of all, money is the number 2 cause for divorce, right behind communication. A lot of couples fall out over money. And so we want to talk a little bit about how do you succeed? How do you manage money well together? And what one of the things I've discovered is that in most couples, or most people have a money personality, right? There's a saver and there's a spender, right? Mm-hmm. And then sometimes there are 2 savers. So like, what would you recommend for how does a saver and spender, how do they manage that together? What do you think?
Well, I think it could also be a combination.
Could be.
Because you could be a saver and be like super, super anal about everything that is spent in the house, but then when it comes to something that you want, it becomes something completely different.
True.
So I think recognizing whether you're a saver or a spender, right?
Yeah.
And then I think you have to set, realistic expectations.
Sure.
And then you also have to recognize where you are financially.
Right.
And because we live in a society that is so, I got to have it now.
Right.
And we'll do whatever we can to have it now.
Right.
Like we might go get a payday loan, or we might borrow, or this, that. But I think sometimes you just need to kind of wait.
Right.
Like when I think about, when we were school teachers, we got paid like once a month, and we would get paid that day. We'd be so excited. It was always, last Thursday of every month. And by the time we did everything, we would be broke again.
Right.
But I think of a couple of things that we had to do in the beginning that I look back, and here we are 25 years later, is key. And I think one of those was we had to pay down our debt. And then we had to make some really hard choices, whether it was student loans, whether it was credit card debt, living with my parents for a year to save for a house and to pay down debt and living rent free. I think, and then even now, I don't care what season of life you are financially, I still feel like you have to make realistic expectations for your household.
Sure.
I think about like our kids in college, and when they were producing their list, or where they were deciding where they were going to go to college, there were a couple of colleges that financially were completely out of bounds for us. Sure. And I remember one of the kids being like, well, can't y'all just get a loan? I'm like, no. And I felt like we learned from student loans that it's just not, it's no.
Yeah.
And this same degree that you want at this prestigious school, you can get it.
Sure.
You can get it at this school much cheaper.
Right.
And this school is going to give you more money, or give you, this school is giving you a scholarship where this school is not giving you.
Sure.
And so it would be cool to say that, yes, that's where you went, but financially, it would not be smart.
Sure. I think finances are so big because, and I think for singles, I think it starts when you're single. I think how you manage your money in your single life follows you into your marriage. And I think both of us had our own ways we handled money, and it followed us into our marriage. And then once we got married, then it became that much more challenging, because you had a way, you came from a certain household, I had a way, I came from a certain household. And so I think the biggest barrier we face, or at least I know I faced, was that we didn't necessarily know how to do it. I mean, we were new. We had our first jobs. You got college money. That's one thing, but getting your first full-time job, that's another thing. And so that was different for us, right? I had a lot of debt from college, credit cards and stuff. And so trying to manage through that was a lot, because when you're single and you got a lot of debt, then you get married and then you're trying to work through, well, that's his debt, that's her debt, and you're trying to, it was a lot. It was stressful. It was a lot of point of tension that we had to deal with. And then when you had the money, you didn't have enough to get through the month. And so I think money can be incredibly challenging and frustrating. But I think a couple of things we've had to learn, in addition to what you said, I agree. I think we had to learn how to manage it well. One, I think we had to get in classes. I remember taking classes at the church and just learning. I remember reading books. I remember talking to my brother, who was a financial planner at the time, and I was like, hey, man, help me with this, and him walking me through how to put together a budget. So I remember these very vulnerable moments. I remember you and I think some got turned off one time. We were fussing over that. And I remember us going through a series of hard lessons as a couple and being frustrated. I remember us, you saying, hey, I want a house. And I was like, man, I don't do we really need a house? like we good. And you're like,
nice.
right. Today's market, the interest rates, it's so hard for couples to get houses today because of the interest rates and all that kind of. So, I think you really have to figure out what works for you guys. So we've had a lot of struggles financially around trying to get on the same page, trying not to fight each other, trying to get a common agenda, trying to learn how we get there, and then the discipline of trying to live it out. Because as much as you have a goal, the day-to-day piece of saying, hey, y'all, we said we're going to do this. We both have to do this together. My money, your money. We learn to have 3 accounts, a joint, and then a separate kind of allowance piece. So, it's been a real journey, but I think it's a part of a marriage that you have to go through, that you have to work through, so y'all can get where you need to be. And I think that's been part of it.
Well, I think you said something really key. I think in the beginning of our marriage, like you said, we came from different households. And so the model I saw was my money, your money. And then the model that you had was it's our money. And then we had to fuse that with what God says.
Sure.
But then I feel like once we got on the same page, because then once we got on the same page, it was very easy for us to hustle together. Like we would hustle towards a common goal. So as school teachers, remember like you were teaching cross country, you came on, you're like, okay, I'm teaching cross country. And then we're like, I'm teaching summer school. And so it was a hustle to a common goal.
Sure.
And that common goal was to get our first house.
Yeah.
And I think once we got on the same page, that was key. I think that was the biggest lesson.
Right. I do agree. I think one of the things we've tried to make a habit is to set annual goals.
Right.
And one of the categories is financial, about what are we trying to accomplish for the next year financially. And I think that's helped us. That doesn't mean that we haven't had our points, our issues around money, because we're 2 different people. What she wants. What I want. And I remember we've had issues about furniture or about curtains. And I'd be like, man, house stuff. And I'm like, man, why we need that? We don't need this. Well, we need that. We just need a TV and a couch. No, but it's helped me. It's helped me to grow, right? It's helped me to evolve, and it's been good for us. But you're right. I think getting on the same page has been incredibly important, because it all starts with. The other thing I would say is I think get on the same page. I think everybody has to sacrifice a little bit.
Everybody has to sacrifice, but then having a common goal.
Yeah.
Like I in the beginning of our marriage, our common goal was getting in a house.
Right, but then you got a furniture house.
And because we've been to counseling for this. Okay, so the big thing was when I said, hey, we need to get a house, he was like, no, because then when we get in the house, then you're going to want to furnish the house. And then I was like, you should know me better enough to know that I'm just not going to want to furnish my whole house. I'm not just going to put anything in my house. I'd rather wait. But the main thing was we need to get in the house. Now, wouldn't you say I did not push the furniture? When it came time for furniture, we had a common, my gosh. Don't make me call the therapist.
What? No, what I'm saying is, I think I think we made it through that.
Right.
But I think it's still a lifelong,
it's a lifelong thing.
Y'all gonna have we have conversations. We try to have our talk time
Right.
to talk about what's the goal for the year, what's the goal for the week,
Right.
how do we stay on track. Some changes, car breaks down, something else happens, kid need this, we got to realign. So I just think that for couples to make it through it, I think they got to start out with the goals. I think they got to have the money dates. I think everybody got to be all the way in.
Right.
You can't be saying, hey, you're saving for this and you're over there shopping secretly on Amazon. So I think I think it's and I think we got to be honest that it's hard. I think that we can't, and here's the other challenge, right? And we could do this all day. The other challenge in most relationships, somebody's really good with money and somebody may not be as strong in money, right? In most houses, there needs to be a money manager. Somebody needs to be the one. But that don't mean you got to treat me like a kid. That don't mean that I'm better than you. It just means we got different gifts and let's try to work together. So, I mean, we could go on, but I think there's some keys. I think communication is a key. I think trying to get on the same page is the key. I think the money dates, talk time is a key. I think trying to make sure we're working together is a key. I think all those are key, and even the systems are key. I mean, we could talk longer, but I just think that couples, this is the reason it becomes such a issue. The reason it can lead to divorce is that we neglect some of these key things, and when we neglect them, then we don't get. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be a long haul. We're not gonna get there overnight. We're not gonna accomplish our goals overnight. We gotta know it's a journey we're all on, and together we can get there as a couple to where God wants us to be. Man, listen, y'all, thank y'all for watching Made to Last, man. So much to talk about money and marriage. Listen, give us your comments, put your comments below. We love to hear from you. What are tools? What are keys you feel that are necessary to be able to build strong marriages around how we manage our money? Listen, like, share, comment. Thanks again for watching Made to Last.